Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Good evening and welcome everybody back to another Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins, and this evening I am joined by 1/4 of our now four-man team, Dave Robinson. Dave, how are you?
That's a quarter, mate. 1/4.
All right. I'm not good with maths. I'm not good with Japanese wrestling names. You've
improved in that department, though, mate. You're getting much better.
I'm improving as every time I watch AEW, I improve as we go along. As you can see, though, today isn't about WWE. I was going to do a Paul Heyman style thing. This isn't WWE. This isn't AEW. This isn't so-and-so. This is Pro Wrestling Carnage. You would probably see from me and Dave wearing the merch from our boys' beers and beatdowns there. But today, we are talking to someone with a bit of brilliance from Pro Wrestling Carnage. And that man is James Ellis. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me on.
You are more than welcome. And what is the weather like over in Wales?
I'd love to say it's been sunny, but it's absolutely tipping it down right now. And after the weeks we've had, it's not very good, is it? You know what I mean?
Well, it's the standard now, is it? Wimbledon's on the tennis. It's game over.
It's got the weather's gone to pot.
Exactly. The weather has indeed gone to pot. James, no, thank you so much for coming on and entertaining us for the next half an hour or so on this show. James, look, for people that don't know who you are and what you do, tell us about you, where it started, how it's going, and who you looked up to growing up as a wrestler.
So I've done a few of these now, and sorry, I do like to move my legs quite a bit. Right. If you see me fidgeting, I'm quite a fidgety person. I've said this a few times, so I got into wrestling, not by accident, but kind of by accident, because my mother, she was given a set of wrestlers by her friend who was her son had outgrown them, and she gave them away. And I was young at the time. I was like, yeah, I'll take them. So she gave me these wrestlers, and I thought they were just action men, just different versions. But they came. I had all the classics like The Rock, Stone Cold, Kane, Mankind, and they just came in this box. But they came with an entrance way. So they all had little metal things in their feet. You put them on the entrance, and their music would pop up.
Titantron, it was called.
Yeah.
There we are. I didn't know what it was called, but you've nailed it. So you're the gospel there. So I obviously I was a bit enamored with these then, and Action Men started to go away. So started buying them, but I didn't actually ever watch the product until I was 7, and I was in a party again. Another coincidence. Party with my parents. 11 o'clock, 7-year-old. Kid, still up, buzzing, off sugar. And I walked past the living room with this party we were in, and wrestling was on. And it was Rob Van Dam and Rey Mysterio beat Kenzo Suzuki and Rene Dupree. And that is the most random tag match to start you off in pro wrestling ever. And if I'm wrong, I've said it on 5 podcasts now. It might have been, I'm pretty sure it was them 4 wrestlers. So I was watching it, I was literally sit by close to the TV, wow, what's going on with you? So after that, then it was game over. I used to we didn't have Sky Sports in my house, but we did have obviously the sport channel. So the free channels were the wrestling channel, which I found when I was over my nan's. There's a lot of family stuff going on here. So I used to watch Impact Wrestling over my nan's because my nan would let me stay up till 1 in the morning. So I'd be watching the Impact pay-per-views. I watched the Christian Cage debut.
Yep.
When he did the walk, and then suddenly the 9, 8, 7, 6 count. I was because I knew him from WWE. Yep. So I was this is mental. So from then, 06 to 09, I was more of a TNA guy, to be honest with you. I watched WWE, but when I could, but on YouTube and that, and through the news things. But I was more TNA. So if you ask me a lot, stuff I watched or people I like, I'll always get your Beer Moneys, your AJ Styles, your Chris Daniels, Samoa Joes, Kurt Angle is obviously the whole thing for me. So obviously got to that age, and certain age, sort of just fell out of it. Summer of Punk kind of got me back in, then went to university, And I did well in one of my university like assignments, so I rewarded myself with the WWE Network, and c'est la vie. You know what I mean? That was it. We were off to the races then. Within about a year, I was like, oh, I might try this after university. Actually, I think I might give this a go. And I'm pretty sure the Brilliance nickname definitely came from like me just riffing, watching like a Royal Rumble in university at like 3 in the morning. So yeah, that's how we kicked off. So I started. Do you want me to crack on the actual wrestling? Or just
carry on.
Yeah.
Go.
So I then I don't know if you haven't followed my socials probably since this happened, but I wrestled Flash Morgan Webster a couple of months ago, and on my MV, if you haven't watched it, I'm obviously going to plug to watch it because it's on like my top 3 of my Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's also a very cool video, very cool night. But the build up to that was like I just won the New Wave Championship. I know I've skipped loads here, but there's a point to the story.
Yeah.
And the next day, I was literally on my way to a night away with my girlfriend, and I got a message from Brendan, the promoter of New Wave. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just announcing this match now. Good luck." And it was me versus Flash, and he was the first person I emailed in like my second year of uni to ask about training in Wales, because I don't know whether it's like the classic like your phone's listening to you, but like things started popping up on like my Twitter and that was to do with wrestling in Wales. You had the Welsh wrestling, like the camp show stuff, but then Flash Morgan Webster, I was like, this guy's fucking cool. And I know Flash quite well now, so like it's not like a mark saying that, but it is what I was like, this guy's fucking cool. He was on Progress and he come back from this injury, and he had the fucking Parker and the fucking sorry my language if it's non-swearing, I will.
No, you're right.
He had the Parker and like the what you call it, the helmet and everything. I thought this guy's sick. And he was Welsh. So I took a gamble on him answering my email. I basically just said, look, mate, you're from Wales. I'm from Wales. I want to try this after uni. What's the score? Where can I train? So he gave me, like, to be fair to him, it was his booking email, and he took his time and sent me this huge email, which is the end of the video. Is like my email to him asking him about training in Wales, which is like quite little like bow tie of that, you know, that was a nice like full circle moment. But he gave me all this detail about Dragon Pro, which was pretty sure the best school in Wales at the time. But I was like, yep, sweet mate, thank you. Obviously I wasn't going to try it till after uni. I wanted to finish uni, and you know, it was Newport and I was in Swansea at the time, and it was just like, it was just too far for me in my mind at that age to do. Wish I'd done it now. So finished university, and then I decided to not take any of his advice and go for the cheapest school in Wales that was near my house. But that, in its essence, I think a lot of James Ellis's wrestling career has been butterfly effect, like domino effect. You know, the domino things just fall into place, as well as hard work, because I am good as gold. But I met Danny Owens on my first day of training. And to be perfectly honest with you, he was the only person that I looked around the room. I said hello to everyone because I'm a very sociable person in general, I think, and I will talk to anyone. But he was the only person I could have a conversation with that wasn't about wrestling. So that's why I was drawn to him. We talked about football, and I played football since I was 4. Played rugby. You know, I've done all bit of a, you know, like love my sport, love playing sport. So we were naturally, me and him became quite close from the moment I began training. So I started training at this school. We'll just leave what happened. I ended up within 5 months. I was on a show. I was absolutely, even I will say, I was not the Brilliance. I was garbage. And that sort of, this is like July 2019 time. So I'd started in the February of 2019. This was the July. And I was in matches then up until the pandemic every month. I think I did 1 month for 2, but I was only at this promotion, this training school's promotion. I was nowhere else. Like even to the point where I don't even think I had Instagram. I may have. You won't see anything from it now. I think it's all archived or deleted. So I come the pandemic, I sort of like, right, I had a bit of a reevaluation. Obviously, we were stuck in home. I was talking to, I'd been introduced to Blanche at this time as well. And then I met Jimmy Taylor also through luck and chance when things were opening up. Like I did go back to training there, but I was kind of like done. I was like, Dan had started Carnage and Dan wanted me to be in Carnage. So I was like, well, you know, no one can tell me what I can and can't do. This is my own, like this is what I make of it. So I was like, I'm definitely going to do that because I know that some of the people in the training school were told they couldn't do stuff, and I was like, no one's telling me what I can and can't do. So I left. I won a belt as well by the mark just before the pandemic. So I left in the September. I said, look, we did like a recorded match, and I lost the belt in like a 6-man scramble or something like that. It was again, they're not like barn burners. I wouldn't recommend going. Well, if you want to have a laugh, maybe go and watch some early James Ellis, but I wouldn't recommend it. I started training at a school in Swansea called All Style through recommendations. That was around until the start of Carnage. So we've gone nearly over a year before I wrestled twice in the training unit, and it was filmed. So I kind of count them because there was a couple of people there, and it was like complete match environment. But apart from that, it was like the March till the August 21 that I didn't really have a match in front of a live crowd. So that's when everything like sort of restarted. And then Carnage. Like I had a good match in the first one. Wrestled someone I wanted to wrestle for a while. I only really worked for Carnage that year, and I did like one Welsh show, one like up in North Wales, which was a real learning experience. That was a 8-hour driving day, both were like as in there and back. I did one for Slam Masters, but I was like a Rumble appearance, and then the next year, like I said, this domino effect. On the first Carnage show, Dan had got Joel Redman on. So I obviously spoke to him, and I think Dan had asked him to watch my match for feedback, and he said, I was like, this is Oliver Gray from NXT. I was like, fuck. I was like a bit like starstruck, to be honest with you, being on a show with him, because there was nothing like that before on any of the shows I was on. So I kept in touch. We went to his training school in Salisbury, me and Jimmy Taylor. And through that, then we'd been recommended, like, go to the seminar in Bristol. It was close. We were both off, like, had nothing on. So we went to a Charlie Sterling seminar. Through there, I got booked on Evo. Like I said, it's just a domino effect. And then through the Evo bookings, I met Brendan. So I left the training school in Swansea to go and start training at New Wave, where I've been since. And obviously, Brendan started running shows. Through there, I've wrestled Boar, wrestled Mark Andrews. Like through wrestling Mark Andrews, I got booked on Attack. Hence the Attack is Brilliant shirt, which is my own merch for that show. Complete rip off, which he was okay with, which I okayed with him, to put my own spin on it. Got booked. I've been booked on. Like I said, it's just a complete like domino effect of like being in the right place, right time, and also when given the opportunity, being brilliant. And like I still think I'm not very good, if I'm honest. I still think the Brilliance could be so much better, but also it's a business where if you think you're up there, right, I'm not going to get any better here, you need to leave. You know what I mean? Because there's always room for improvement, and there's always, like you should never stop training. Really, I don't think, even if it's in like a coaching capacity, you should never stop training. So yeah, I just love it. Like it's the best thing ever, if I'm honest. Sure, my missus will text me if she sees this and goes, "Excuse me," but that is what it is. It was like I wanted to try it, and now in the space of like a year, it's gone from I want to try this, this is going good, to we might have something here. Let's see where this goes and carry on. So yeah,
James,
it's just going.
You must have taken to it pretty quickly. Obviously, you said you weren't great after a few months of training, but for the promoters to kind of trust you on their shows and be booking you straight away, you must have taken to wrestling pretty quickly.
It doesn't sound like my gimmick, because the gimmick is me. Like the Brilliance is me, and if you see me live or you've seen some videos, like I am that brash, cocky person, but I'm also like. It's kind of like which way do the fans want me to go? You know what I mean? Or which way do the promoters want me to go is how I'll be in front of a crowd. Because I'm also, I think, a pretty sound person. I'm very respectful. And yeah, so sorry, to get back to your point though, I think what helped me at the start was when I did like my first 4 matches, and I don't think any of them were good, right? But the difference was after like match 4, I was doing this like party gimmick sort of thing. Like I had like a shit shirt on, like 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 one of those shirts you buy in like a thrift shop.
Yeah.
Going out, I had like plain black tights. There was nothing James Ellis about me, like to be honest with you. It wasn't me, and I knew it wasn't me. So they said, "Oh, we're gonna have you work heel. Have you got any like gimmick like on the next show?" And I was like, "Oh." I came up with this gimmick in uni called the Brilliance, James Ellis. Like, if you want to, yeah, try that. If it doesn't work, you're going back to the party gimmick. And I went, okay. So I, like in my head, I was like, right, I need to be like half decent years, and I need to get some sort of reaction.
Yeah.
And I think that's what took early to me was like I was just allowed to be myself, but I knew that I'm being the bad guy here, so I need to garner a boo. You know what I mean? So I just think I sort of like got that reaction off people early on. So like people who came to other wrestlers on the show were like, "Ooh, he's getting something." You know what I mean? Like he's getting some reaction, even if the in-ring content was nowhere near like to a good enough standard. And I think by going to better training schools, like my in-ring content's got better as well. But I've still managed to like try and keep that core bit of like old school, like crowd work. If you get what I mean, like that. That's and I think doing the camp shows as well has really helped that because it's all crowd work.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like you can have a really, really, really like technically sound match on a camp show, but you've got to be on that crowd because a lot of it's families and they want to boo someone, they want to cheer someone. So like if you're given that opportunity to be a heel or villain, then you take that chance and make sure they boo you because that's all the promoter wants is to see a reaction for each person and the right reaction.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way I kind of look at it, and like obviously the more like I'll go back to it again. The Flash match was like it was just so much going on, like so much to remember, so much content, so much of what I'm doing, what he's doing. Like I was like, right, we're either going to sink or swim here. I don't think I swam very well like an Olympic swimmer, but like I paddled instead of like just sinking to the bottom. So that gave me the confidence. And like since then, I think the matches, like I'm more calmer about being in more complicated matches with a lot more stuff and longer times, etc.
Yeah.
Interesting. We had Flash on actually. He was a great guy. We spoke to Flash a couple of months ago now, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah, about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. Let's switch gears for a second before we get into any more. Let's play a little game with the Brilliance and see how brilliant he really is. So this is a word association game. So we'll make it a bit easier because you mentioned TNA, you mentioned when you got involved. So we'll give you a bit of a pass on who we say as names, but we'll give you a name and you give us the first word or phrase that comes into your head when I mention or Dave mentions a name. So Dave, why don't you go first and choose a name for James to
I'll go with AJ Styles then to begin with.
Phenomenal.
There you go. I would have definitely said that. Samoa Joe.
Brutal.
Certainly is. Go on, Dave.
Beer Money.
Class.
RVD.
Mental.
Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, superb. I'd love to have definitely need some more there to be honest with some more words, but superb to go with one.
Definitely one. Maybe one you may not remember, but it's only because it's quite followed on AEW at the minute. Owen Hart.
If I could like hyphen everything ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time. Go on, Dave. You finish off with the final one.
Kurt Angle.
Machine.
Cool. I'll go with that. We'll segue a bit now and we'll play a little game and then we'll finish off with Carnage and your promotion of stuff. And we've got some bits to promote as well. Now, this game is literally, if you ever watched Steve Austin's podcast, I have totally ripped it off, but he hasn't trademarked it. So he can't come at me or stun me for that fact. And if he can, then, well, I'll take a stun. I don't know how I'd be able to. I don't know how I'd put Vince McMahon on it. Yeah, I've Vince McMahon on at WrestleMania. So this one's just random questions. We're going to start off with, you get a call from Tony Khan, Triple H, Scott D'Amore, or Billy Corgan at the NWA. They all want you. Where are you going?
Triple H.
Triple H. So you're going straight into the big WWE NXT.
If I had a rank, I'd go Scott D'Amore, Tony Khan, Billy Corgan.
That's fine. Dave, I bet you wouldn't know, would you? You'd go AEW, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily, man. I think the holy grail for a lot of people is always the WWE, but it's not necessarily the right choice sometimes for every performer. So don't know about you, James. I think it's great for us as fans to have so much competition, but also great for you guys as performers to have more than one place to shoot for if it is that, you know, you want to kind of see how far you can take it.
I completely agree with that. Like, if I'm honest, if any one of them calls me, I'm gonna probably go, yeah, okay, no problem, I'll be there now. Like, you know, if whoever the first to call, but I don't think we've got to a stage anywhere near that where that's going to happen. So, but for me, you got to go with what brought you to the party, and I'm a WWE guy, like, you know what I mean. That'll probably come to bite me in the arse in a few years. You never know.
Hopefully Tony Khan doesn't watch his podcast and then rules out. Second question, it kind of trails into the first one. You get that call, you've gone to Triple H. He's gone to you and said, James, right, NXT, stand and deliver. I've got a fatal 4-way book for you. You've got 3 wrestlers. Could even be some in the past. You just play along for the game purpose. Who are you choosing and why?
Have they got to be NXT standouts?
No, anyone past or present.
Oh God, it's a tough one. You put me on the spot here. Finn Balor, because I'd love to work Finn Balor.
Would you work Finn or Demon Finn or his independent style verbal debit?
I go Finn Balor, I think, not Demon, just Prince Dev, you know, Prince Balor, you know. I'm gonna go out with NXT here, to be honest with you, because I just feel like that's the Adam Cole.
Hey,
I think it'd be quite cool to get in there and like wrestle him. I think it'd be pretty awesome, but also very like, whoa, flying by your seat of your pants. Like, as in, there's a lot going on. And it's gonna be out of the blue. This is now because I'm trying to keep it current. Chad Gable.
Oh,
I think he's
awesome choice.
If you listen to this podcast, you don't even have to explain yourself.
Gable fans.
Absolutely not. The next one stumps quite a lot that we've had on, even some of the sort of ex-WWE guys that we've had on Impact Wrestling. It's a 2-part question. The first one is your favorite wrestler's entrance music.
Does he technically have to be my favorite wrestler?
No, it's just the music.
Right, I'm torn, yeah. I'm very torn. My heart says Christian's 2005 version of his theme. Yeah, but the 2005 version, not the when he came back. I didn't like that. And I'm split because it's also going to be Maven. Maven. And if anyone knows me, Maven's theme is class, and I've had a lot of people agree with me as well.
It's a good theme.
Very underrated. What's it called?
I can hear the opening bit of it.
Yeah, with the guitar.
Yeah.
That is it. What is it called? I'm going to find it now. It's called Behind the Stars. That's what it's.
I think it's that. Yeah, it's by a band called either Mercy Drive because they changed their name. Yeah, there we are. You got it. So yeah, them two. I can't pick.
No, that's fine. And then following on from that, and this can be a different wrestler. It doesn't have to be the ones you've just chosen. The entrance presentation.
Whoa. See, I'm a bit enamored. He's like what he is in my like top 10 wrestlers. So I would go Christian. I love the when he had the double, like the jacket and the long trousers. I thought it was ace. Yeah. But also like Shawn Michaels as well, like just presentation. You know what I mean? Like I was always I think genuinely when I first started like watching the network again, I was absolutely in awe of like certain entrances. Like entrances for me made a match as well. Like like they started them off instead of just having a guy come down or a girl come down, just being like boring, walking down. If the music was good, their like entrance attire was class. Like there was something that made that entrance stand out. Then to me, I like was drawn more to them than through it.
Yeah, I think mine's always presentation Undertaker, and then theme kind of torn between Edge and Triple H.
See, again, I was thinking, as you just said, that Triple H's entrance was class because it was so like you knew where you were at every point. You know what I mean? The water at the start, head down, up, walk down,
Yeah.
comes up onto the apron, looks right.
Yeah,
It's stuff that people remember.
they do.
Yeah.
And
So
Dave, yours was the Brood, wasn't it? If I remember right.
Oh man, I've got a soft spot for the Brood. That entrance,
team.
all three of them together when they rise out the fire pit, and you got
Mm.
Gangrel spraying the blood, and that was kind of, yeah, that's always been mine. I'd love to get Gangrel on the podcast one day. Hopefully, we can make that dream come true at some point.
If you're watching,
Dave, yeah.
yeah,
James, just jumping back into your story, I'm interested about your match with Flash Morgan Webster, because obviously you've gone through your training and you've got better and better. You've done your character work, you've got more proficient in the ring, and then you're in the ring with this guy that you kind of admired from afar. You'd spoke to years before when you were in uni. How do you go about putting a match together with Flash? Is it basically he's taking the lead and you're following? How much input are you allowed to have? And yeah, tell us a little bit more about how that first match came together with Flash.
I think so. I think as a rule, like as a rule I take, when I wrestle someone more experienced than me, I will always go there with ideas like of certain things I could do, certain things I do. I always kind of write them down on a notes app as well. So I've got them ready with me. But like I sort of went to Flash. I went, right, what you want to do, brother? You know what I mean? Like you tell me, and you know where you want me to fit stuff in, I'll fit stuff in. And he had the story nailed, like with what, and that's what the learning experience. I try and take out something from every match. That's what the learning experience was with wrestling him. Was like there was a story to the whole match. And his take on it. He told me, he's like, I want the story to be right here. The moves we can do the cool moves, but I want there to be a story from the start to the finish. Or like it was kind of from the cut off to the end. And he had everything, the bells and whistles, ref bump, turnbuckle pull, low blow, outside stuff. It was like, and I think there was 2 times in that match where I kind of like couldn't hear what he was saying when he was calling something to me, and I like kind of panicked and like did something. And I remember he wanted me to suplex him on the floor, and I thought I just heard suplex. I was like, you don't want me to put him on the floor, so I put him on the ring apron instead. And he came back and said, I asked you to suplex me on the floor, brother. And I was like, I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's your body and mine. Like, so yeah, it was like a proper learning experience about like psychology and why we do things, and also learning to calm down a little bit as well. Like the occasion kind of got to me in certain parts of that match, but then watched it back and I was like, oh, that was class. That was cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to see Flash this Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's at Rev Pro this Sunday, I think.
It always interests me.
Was that? Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah. Sunday.
It always interests me because sometimes when we're going into these podcasts, talking to guys that we admire and wrestlers, we find it difficult to either, ask questions about wrestling. So you're there in that situation where you're going to actually wrestle with them. I always find it interesting, like that dynamic. And then at what point you kind of start getting more and more confidence and you're putting matches together on the fly, or, I suppose with some opponents, you don't have to plan as much because you've worked with each other so many times.
Elijah's definitely one of them. Like we sort of know what we're doing now, and we just like, right, where do we fit stuff in and make it make sense? And that's a brilliant place to be, because you can still have really creative and not the same matches, but you just know each other's stuff and what someone's going to do. It just makes it like a lot easier in the planning stage of thing. And like on the fly wrestling is just something I want to get better at. Like I went up to Joe Redman's school like 2 weeks ago, and for like 35 minutes straight, we just did tag in, tag out, and you just wrestled like and just called stuff in the ring, which I think is like needs to be more widely taught. We do it at New Wave as well, but like it definitely needs to be like an art, because it's an art form. Like it is. Like not being able just to talk to someone in the ring and tell them what's coming up or what you want to do, where should we go next? I think today's I'm guilty for it as well, and that's the way I've been brought into it, because it's just the way of things have gone. But like a lot of things are planned now.
Is there a bit of a balance to be found in terms of how much you plan? Or is it just a case of the more you do it, the more your memory improves and the more things seem to flow?
I think it's memory stuff, and also I think it's the confidence in there and being knowing that like if something went wrong, I could just wrestle and I'd be able to call something to to get to the point we need to get to. Like that's the way I look at it. But again, I'm not that experienced, and like so I can't really be confident as if I've been doing this 15 because I haven't, and I'm trying to learn it myself. So like that's the way I envision in the future me being like with it.
Cool.
Funny enough, I've just had a text from Danny Owens, and he said, "Can you ask James about a time at Carnage where you turned face without meaning to?"
So I know it's ruined my Carnage career. Yeah, so I was just like, I don't know. I was just told we did a match. Me and I wrestled Splits McPins.
Yep.
Another one of the best in Wales.
Bolorama.
Bolorama. Yeah. And we finished the match, and Danny, like the cue was right, boys, you got as long as you want, but just make sure Ellis cuts a promo after and cuts it on, like not getting a shot at the title. So I genuinely did like a promo I thought was quite heelish. Like I generally went like, I'm on the show, every show, and I steal the show. And people just went, yeah, you're right. And I went, thanks for the cheers. And then like just went with it, like everything. And then the champ came down, JJ Roberts, and he started cutting a really heel promo, which then got the reaction to whatever I said a bit further. And I ended up with, I went from being this like one of them to like, thank you, good night. And I was like, well, Dan came back and he was like, get your face now. I went, well, I don't work it much, so this is going to be a bit of a task.
He's good. I love those guys. They're great. They're a great bunch of guys. Just as we start finishing up now, James, why don't you tell everybody where you are, what you've got coming up, where they can buy your merch and your socials?
So my social, I start with them as I plug them and I upload to them a lot. My Instagram is James Ellis PW. My Twitter is exactly the same. My Facebook is James Ellis Pro Wrestler. They're all the socials I have. I have, at the moment, the only tops I have available, I have larges and extra larges available in the Attack is Brilliance shirt. It's got a lovely photo on the back of my debut at Attack when I won a 4-way Attack Scramble match. That's a very cool moment as well. Their matches are all available on Defend on Demand. And what else was I going to plug? So next week, I've got a weekend off this weekend, but next week quite a big one. I've got New Wave on the Friday. I've got No Mercy on the Sunday, and I have got something on the Monday which hasn't been announced yet, so I'm not going to say anything just in case, because it's still a bit, we don't know what's going on. And I've got the New Wave and No Mercy. New Wave is in Cardiff. Tickets are on sale, and it's nearly sold out as well. No Mercy is in Penrith, which is the Welsh Valleys, and tickets are on sale for that as well. So yeah, they're my next ones coming up. I've got some more in July. I think there's 2 more. One at VCW, which is again, if that's in Newport, on the 23rd of July. Yeah, trying to remember the date. Ringland in Newport, and then on the 29th, I've got Evolution Wrestling, and that's in Bristol. And then August is absolutely pretty bananas compared to last year. It's quite cool. But that's just, there's a lot of dates there and a lot of things I'd have to remember. Yeah. So for that, they're my immediate things.
Yep, and then you'll be on the next Carnage show, I assume.
And Carnage, August 20th, I'll be wrestling for the Carnage Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat, I believe, against JJ Roberts and Elijah. So that will be a cool dynamic, and that will be very much worth a watch. I hope you're coming down.
It might not be that one. I'm actually away that week in Cornwall.
Oh, okay.
I speak to the boys about it, but it's looking like the September one that we might be coming, because I come back from holiday and it's literally all in at Wembley.
Yeah.
So I'm coming back the Friday. I'm taking my boy to Football Mania on Saturday, and then going to All In on the Sunday. So I think I'm trying to sort out the September show, or the one after. It's definitely going to be this year. I've said it enough times on the plugs to the guys that I'll be coming down. So I need to start coming down.
Just a quick question from me before we wrap up. Yeah. If you say there, you've got a lot of dates coming up. It sounds like you're a very busy man. And the wrestling scene in the UK seems to be as good as it's been in a long, long time. I think wrestling in general, as I was talking about earlier, for fans, it's great. For performers, it's great. Are there any guys in the UK, on the UK scene at the minute, that you haven't had a chance to wrestle yet that you would love to wrestle in the next kind of 6 months to a year? Is there any names in mind?
That's a great question.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
So you reminded me of also dates. I'm on the next BCCW in September, so make sure you're there. And
I'll definitely
say hello.
100%.
We'll say hello. Speaking of BCCW, I would have loved to before he went to New Japan, wrestled Dan Maloney, the British wrestling machine.
He should have been on the last show, but he got his Japan dates got extended.
I know.
So he got replaced by Joel.
He's near enough full time, isn't he? I haven't wrestled Joel Redman. I want to wrestle Joel Redman. Niwa as well. I like a lot of the guys up there in Redmond in Joel's school. Like Bullet Benno as well. There are a couple to name. I've wrestled Bullet Benno actually. I take that back. I was in a 5-on-4 tag match against him. So we did interact briefly, but I would like to be. I like a lot of these are all 1-on-1s. You got me on the spot again, you.
Have you wrestled Estin Reese? Because he's a big time.
I haven't wrestled Estin Reese yet. No,
we had him on a few weeks back.
Like I thought he was from Cheltenham. I know he's got a very Welsh name, and he has spoke about Wales. But I thought he was from Cheltenham. But if he's Welsh, then even better. God's country.
He is definitely.
Me, boys. There we are. Who else is there? Oh, you've got me on the spot here, boys.
Michael Aku? Is that somebody that you...
I wrestled Michael. Michael 2 weeks ago.
How was that for you?
That was one of them. I was a pinch me moment. That was cool.
Is he as good as everybody says? Yeah.
Leighton Buzzard. I want to wrestle him because he's everywhere at the moment, and that seems like it'll be quite a cool match. And if I go back to Wales, just last one. Nico Angelo. I haven't wrestled Nico Angelo yet.
Okay. Interesting. Right, and
man,
before we start plugging our stuff, I know you said you're really busy with bookings. If anybody wants to book you, where do they go?
Either DM me on any of my socials, because I will always try and make myself available if I am for a booking, because I just want to get better and wrestle more. You can email me jamesellispw@gmail.com, or like I said, DM me on any of my socials, and I should be able to get back to you pretty ASAP.
So slide into his DMs, basically, for one phrase. Now, Dave, let's talk about what we've coming up. So tomorrow, we have one of the pioneered women wrestlers ever in Victoria, /Tara / Lisa Marie Veron coming on tomorrow. Friday is one of my absolute, I still can't believe we're interviewing this guy. When I grew up as a kid and watching him and listening to him do interviews now, and I've said this so many times, where he can tell you where the restroom is when in 1988, when he was working in WCW doing all this stuff, he can tell you where the restroom, the locker room, he can tell you who was in there. And just for the career in total, I am so looking forward to interviewing Shane Douglas on Friday. It's going to be an absolute brilliant one. It's a 2-hour special. I don't think I'm going to have a voice left at the end of it. We had Buff Bagwell on recently, who was absolutely fantastic, gimmicked up with his hat, the works. That was great. Buckle up, of course, the 23rd of July. How could we forget that? That now Ignite have put a teaser video out of an announcement that's going to be made on the show. I'm saying no more than that, but it's pretty standard. And when you see the video, you'll kind of see what it is. But yeah, we've got Michael Oku on the show. We've got Scotty Rourke on the show. We've got Charles Crowley on the show. Corey McRae's defending his title in a triple threat match against Smashing Mike and Cod Mills. We have got Aluna Blue on the show as well. She's wrestling Artemis. There is so much going on. And then later on, that we've got the Raven coming on very soon.
We've got
Raven, and later on in August, another one that I cannot wait for, Dave. Yeah, you gave it away months ago. Diamond Dallas Page will be coming on our show for a chat. But for this evening, James, it has been fantastic talking to you. Good luck in everything that you do. We will get down to see you at some point, whether that's in Carnage or another show in the US.
I'll see you at BCCW, definitely.
Dave will see you at BCCW. I will definitely get down to Carnage this year, so hopefully you'll be on the show. But for the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, he's the Brilliance James Ellis. He's the man, Dave Robinson. I've been your host, Adam Cousins. Until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe. Good night.